let's move to the interpersonal skills, okay? This is very important to consider because it is not only to know the techniques for teaching, it is also to know about your students, okay? So a good professor, a good teacher, whatever subject they are teaching, needs to be aware of the cross-cultural differences and sensitive to students' cultural traditions. You may say, well, if I'm planning to teach in Mexico, this won't happen. Well, believe it or not, it happens. Think about this. Some of you are not from Puebla. I'm quite sure about it. I know, for example, Yaotzin is from Tabasco, if I remember well. So he has different traditions from ours. I remember he mentioned some things about food. So it is very important to be aware about these differences and treat all of your students the same way, okay? So be careful with this point whenever you are teaching students from different backgrounds, as you were mentioning in the discussion board, well, yeah, a professor or a teacher needs to enjoy people, okay? Otherwise, they will hate their job. Show enthusiasm, warm, rapport. Well, you may be familiar with this word. Rapport is when you have this good relationship with your classmates. With your students, and you are having this, basically this good, I don't know how to say, good attitude towards them, as well as your students are having to you. So it is really important to have this characteristic whenever you are planning to teach, no matter what, when you are planning to teach. A good teacher also has this ability to value what their students are saying and the abilities they provide. When you're teaching, you can observe that some students are good at, working in teams. Some others may be good at leading. Some others may be good at drawing, at whatever activity you are planning. So you need to observe this and always give this, this reinforcement for students so that they can really show what they are doing, to show their enthusiasm, to show their abilities. So you need to value this part. And yes, you were mentioning this, you need to have a lot of patience, especially when working with students when they don't have this ability, whatever ability, especially when learning a language. We know that sometimes we don't have that ability, okay? And I can tell you that I've seen students who really struggle when they are learning a language, especially English, and there is no way to teach them, and they feel frustrated about it. And some teachers feel frustrated as well, and they start having this bad attitude toward these students. So you need to be very patient and observe your students when they are having these difficulties in learning. And when you have the opposite way, like with these students who have a really good ability at learning, so you need to always have this plan for offering them challenges so they can really feel that they are learning something new. Sometimes when we have students with a high level of English, they may be kind of rude or kind of disturbing for the class. So you really need to have this in mind. You may face students who don't have this good ability, and those students that have a good ability to learn languages. So you need to have always a plan for them, and your attitude. Your attitude needs to be very positive towards whatever situation you are facing. And you need to always be willing to cooperate with colleagues. Working with colleagues is the same as having your classmate in the class, okay? So sometimes there will be people you really like, that you really like to work with, and then you have no problem with those people. But there are some times in which you don't like those colleagues, and then you need to handle that situation in a good and nice way. At the end of the day, you are working with these people, and sometimes you spend more time with these people than the time you spend with your family or your friends. So having a good attitude, having a positive attitude will help you with this situation. Now, what about the personal qualities? Sometimes we think that we really need to be just like with this good attitude and that's it. Well, no, that is not enough. You need to have this organization, and not only when you are teaching your class, but also when you are organizing your times. For example, if you are having a course of whatever time, so you need to plan your lessons in order to fit that time. Okay, so you also need to meet the commitments. If you are required to also hand in some papers or to do something, and your boss asks you to do so, so you also need to be very well organized. Okay, and another quality that it is very important to have is flexibility. Sometimes we are, I don't know, when you become not exactly an old teacher, but as you are getting experience, you start to having like these ideas, like this is the way it works and that's it. So you need to be very flexible with new things, especially when you are talking about technology, for example. You know that one of my like strengths or my, I don't know how to say, abilities is technology. I really like technology. Even you know that my second master's degree, it regards technology, and that is why I really like to do these things. But there are teachers and people who don't like it, so be flexible to try new things. Okay, and for that reason you always need to maintain an inquisitive mind. Okay, be open-minded to new technologies, to new ways of teaching. Sometimes people who are just starting get new ideas. Why? Because you are just finishing university and you have this experience with your professors and you say, it doesn't work, why don't we try this? And then when you share this experience with professors who have been teaching for longer than you, it will be a nice idea, okay? But never, never, ever stop studying. Never, ever stop trying new things, okay? It is not only about the technical part that we were checking a moment ago, well, in the previous video, but also to trying new things for improving your mind, for improving your teaching, for improving your skills. And with this, you need to set goals, okay? For example, if you're planning to study a master's degree, when you finish your major, you need to set that. Also, when you're teaching, you need to set short and long-term goals for this professional growth, okay? It is not possible to keep with the same thing. I remember when I was teaching the class of technology, for example, Andrea was my student there, and I remember that one of the main concerns about students had was about this idea of facing new technology. Okay, for example, you may remember, this is like a normal example or like an ordinary example, when we were using Messenger. Okay, it was a nice technology to communicate with others, and then Messenger suddenly disappeared, and we need to start using Facebook, for example, and now we have WhatsApp, and then we have other social media, and then we have been evolving. So the same happens when we are teaching. We cannot stay with the same things forever and ever. So don't forget, people, it is always important. It is not necessary to study a master's degree, okay, or a PhD, but it is always important to attend conferences, to attend courses, to enroll in courses. You know that MOOCs exist, so if you don't want to pay for that, but you really want to continue growing up professionally, try those, okay? And always, always, always keep with these ethical and moral standards, okay? I can tell you that sometimes students nowadays want you to pass them just because they are attending your class, and they will offer you different things, different like amounts of money, gifts, things like that. So think about this. Think about the moral that you have, the ethical points that make a good professor. And I think sometimes we don't think about it, we consider it like it is part of it, but we need to keep it in mind, okay? So, as you can see, these are the elements or the main elements of a good language teacher. And as you can see, you mentioned them all, okay? So you're really aware of what a language teacher is. So, very good job.